recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble Jurali the prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a parcel of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Jurali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Prophet Noble Jurali, peace and blessings be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And now this meeting has been opened according to law. We say Islam, Islam, Islamism.
Islam, Islam, Islamism. Thank everyone for opening the meeting according to law. Thank everyone for attending and being in this Zoom meeting. You could be anywhere, you chose to be here, and gratitude for that. I want to introduce what today's lesson is. We are in the new citizens and student ministers class. Today is Saturday, February the 12th. Title of this is also being presented by the Maryland Consulate of the Moorish American Government. Consul General Malik El-Bey. Title of the meeting is The Divine and National Movement of Moorish America starts from the center, knowledge of self, and must emanate to the outer bounds, four corners of the earth. Co-host, Senior Counselor Agent Anwar Aliel, Deputy Consul General Saraya Rehum Musa Pretabulu Bey, and Deputy Consul General Terrell Freeman L. of the Maryland Consulate of Moorish American Government. The words to be defined today on the Master Word of Study are stateless, refugee, citizen, part, parcel, responsibility, accountability, and work. The objective of today's lesson is to learn what it means to be a citizen and or minister in our Moorish American government. Readings will be from Quran Questionnaire for Moorish Americans 101, Keys 9060 101, by the Constitution of Moorish America, which has been read, Resuming of a Nation, page 560. And also we'll have the chapter of the week read from the Circle 7. Chapter 11 is what we'll be reading for the chapter of the week. We have videos that will be presented. One entitled, Who Are Stateless People? Another titled, Black or African American? Neither. Here's why. Another entitled, Race in America. You are not Black. Here's more reasons why. And I must preface it by saying, all the videos that we'll be showing are for educational purposes. We do not own or have copyrights to those videos. They are for educational use only. Question on the floor. How can we use our experiences in the United States government to better understand and demonstrate the meaning of a Moorish American citizen was a part and parcel of the Moorish American government. Now, that is a tricky question for me because my experiences in the United States government has been, I will be light and say that it was less than desirable. While matter of fact, I think I'll be better off showing you how it contradicts being a participant in the United States government, because the Moorish American government is our own government. And we don't have to ratify our right to vote in this government. It is our inalienable right in our government, as it should be. You know, I thought that we had proven ourselves by fighting in every single American war. And I could be wrong. I thought we showed our patriotism in fighting in every single American war, even those that were fought against us. Yes, again, but I could be wrong. But again, that question is on the floor. How can we use our experiences in the United States government to better understand and demonstrate the meaning of a Moorish American citizen who is a part and a parcel of the Moorish American government? And now I would like to go to reading of the chapter of the week from the Circle 7 from Senior Counselor Agent Dr. Anwar Ali El, Islam.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Once again, I rise, giving perfect praise to the great God, Allah, honor to his prophet, honor to the last prophet, these days and time. Prophet Knowlegde Ali, I give honor to the Royal Council of the Moorish American government, all the officials, all the citizens. Give honor where honor is due. Give honor to all of you. Give honor to this Maryland Council Zoom meeting and everyone in attendance. Chapter 11, the friendship of Yehoshua and Lamas. Yehoshua explains to Lamas the meaning of truth. Among the priests of Jagannath was one who loved the Jewish boy. Lamas Brahmas was the name by which the priest was known. One day, as Yehoshua and Lamas walked along alone in Plaza Jagannath, Lamas said, "My Jewish master, what is truth?" And Yehoshua said, "Truth is the only thing that changes not. In all the world, there are two things. One is truth, and the other is falsehood. And falsehood, that which seems to be. Now, truth is art and has no cause, and yet it is the cause of everything. Falsehood is not, and yet it is the manifest of right. Whatever has been done will be whatever has been made will be unmade. That which begins must end. All things that can be seen by human eyes are manifest of art, are not, and so must pass away. The things we see are but reflex just appearing, while the ethers vibrate so and so. And when conditions change, they disappear. The holy breath is truth, is that which was and is and evermore shall be. It cannot change nor pass away. Lama said, "You answer well. Now what is man?" And Yehoshua said, "Man is the truth and falsehood strangely mixed. Man is the breath made flesh. So truth and falsehood are conjoined in him. And then they strive and not go down, and man as truth abides." Again, Lamas asked, "What do you say about power?" And Yehoshua said, "It is a manifest. It is the result of force. It is, but not. It is illusion, nothing more. Force changes not, but power changes as the ether changes. Force is the will of Allah and is omnipotent. And power is that will in manifest, directed by the breath. There's a power in the wind, a power in the waves, a power in the lightning stroke, a power in the human arm, a power in the eye. The ethers caused these powers to be and thought of Elohim with angels or other thinking things direct the force. When it has done its work, the power is no more. The law must act of understanding. What have you to say? And Yehovah said, it is the rock on which man builds himself. It is the gnosis of the art and of the knot, of falsehood and of truth. It is the knowledge of the lower self. The sensing of the power of man himself. Again, Lamas asks, of wisdom, what do you have to say? And Yehovah said, it is the consciousness that man is art, that Allah and man are one, that naught is naught, that power is but an illusion, that heaven and hell, heaven and earth and hell are not above, around, below, but in, which in the light of art becomes naught, and Allah is all. Lamas asked, pray, what is faith? And Yehovah said, faith is the surety of the omnipotence of Allah and man, and certainly that man will reach deific light. Salvation is a ladder reaching from the heart of man to the heart of Allah. It has 3 steps. Belief is first, and this is what man thinks perhaps is true. And faith is next, and this is what man knows is true. Fruition is last, and this is man himself, the truth. Belief is lost in faith, and in fruition, faith is lost. And man is saved when he has reached deific light, when he and Allah are one. Islam.
Islam. Gratitude, Dr. Ambar Aliel, for that reading coming from the Circle 7. Now we will go to our Master Words of Study. Can you all see it?
Yes.
Okay. The first word to be defined is stateless. Stateless. Can I have any more come in with the definition of stateless? Even though you are included, sir.
Islam? Islam.
Islam.
You know, Islam. Having already risen, stateless. In international law, the stateless person is someone who is not considered as a national by any state under the operation of its laws. Islam.
Islam, gratitude for that measure. We'll go to next Master Word of Study if there's no one else for stateless.
Islam.
Islam.
Well, Deputy Counsel General, I'm Terrell Freeman L. It's a good measure, or the measure I have is good for the 2 words. Let's see here for stateless. Minimize this. I would like to camelback off of our brother, Godman Senior Agent Anwar Ali L. What I had here was just from the Merriam's dictionary, and he gave the grand international definition. Definition of stateless, having no state, lacking the status of a national. Example given, a stateless refugee. Gratitude, Islam.
Islam, gratitude for attacking both of those words. I will still ask for a definition for refugee. Anyone with their definition of refugee?
Islam.
Islam?
Islam. So for refugee, again, just coming from Merriam's Webster dictionary, see that a definition can be one that flees, especially one who flees to a foreign country or power to escape danger or persecution. And this reminds me of many of the things that is available to be learned from Prophet Noble Drew Ali, but especially the measure on all nations have suffered slavery. And when it comes to you and me and our ancestors, we were told, my understanding of the measure included us straying after the gods of Europeans, the gods that outside of the traditions, the mores and the fourways of our ancestors. And so thus outside of beyond our own vine and fig tree, and just beyond ourselves. So Islam and gratitude for allowing me to share.
Islam and gratitude for that measure. The next master word of study, if there's no more definitions for refugee.
Islam.
Islam.
Yeah, I have one. Islam. I haven't already risen. Refugee, a person who has fled war, violence, conflict, or persecution and have crossed an international border to find safety in another country. Islam.
Islam. Actually, for coming forward with that measure for refugee. The next master word of study is citizen. Citizen.
Islam.
Islam.
Islam and gratitude. For citizen, I have a few things to contribute. An inhabitant of a city or town, especially one entitled to the rights and privileges of a free man. A person who legally belongs to a country and has the rights and protections of that country. And a civilian as distinguished from a specialized servant of the state or just a servant. Islam and gratitude.
Islam, that definition of a free man, citizen, coming from, free man, Islam. Any other definitions for citizen?
Islam.
Islam.
Islam. Citizen, haven't already risen. Citizen, a person who legally belongs to a country and has the right and protection of that country. Islam.
Islam. I will read my own measure of citizen. A legally recognized subject or national of a state or commonwealth, either native or naturalized. Also, an inhabitant of a particular town or city. Islam, gratitude for all those measures. The next definition will be part. Part. Can someone give me the definition of the word part?
Islam.
Islam.
Oh, Islam, gratitude. I'm Terrell Freeman. Praise and honors reiterated. I had to continue to bear with me, Moorish Ken. For part, we have some dynamics to review. So for part, one contribution can involve one of the often indefinite or unequal subdivisions into which something is or something is regarded as divided and which together constitute the whole. A partial fraction. Then we have other considerations of, let's see, one of the constituent elements of a plant or animal body, such as an organ or a member. Private parts is another sub definition used there. Division of literary work. And then we have the verb. Those are different aspects of the noun. And I'm sure we're going to get into more of that. Then we have the verb part, which can involve to separate from or take leave of someone, to become separated into parts, to become separated, detached, or broken. And so there's just some things with this part that we understand, and as part and parcel of our own government, it's a great word to get into. Gratitude.
Islam, gratitude for that defined and dynamic measure for part, giving us the various definitions. Any other definitions for part?
Islam.
Islam, gratitude. We are speaking to the Counsel General of the Maryland Consulate, Malik El-Bey, Islam doctor.
Islam. And when we say Islam to all of our listeners, it's just it's an opening and greeting, saying peace to everyone. Because I know to some of our people, the way our people think, they probably say, why do they keep saying Islam? Ain't that repetitious? We got this, we know how the Negro and Black colored man think because we used to be in that state. So when we give these type of definitions, sometimes we got to give explanations so we can draw pictures in our family's mind so they can, get better insight. So I want to, I'm coming from the Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition. It don't have part, but it has partial.
Mm-hmm.
And it says relating to or constituting a part. Yeah. Relating to or constituting a part, not complete, not entire or universal. So just like the you said just now, Deputy Counsel General, being part and parcel, you're not the total or universal aspect of that government, but you're a part. And I guess the parcel explains the other aspect of it. So just giving our people understand that your government is for you and by you and of you. Islam, and that's why we said our government of Moorish America is theocratic. Islam, gratitude.
Islam, gratitude, Counsel General. Thank you for that definition and for all the work that you do for your consulate, for your government, and for your people. Islam. Well, we'll lead right into the next definition, parcel. Get a definition of parcel. I can give mine. It says a parcel is an unambiguously defined unit of land within which a bundle of rights and interests are legally recognized in the community. That also can be referred to the person, the human being. Islam. Anyone else for a definition of parcel?
Islam.
Islam.
Islam. That's a grand measure right there, Doctor. I just have a small contribution. Yeah, that was just a grand measure right there for parcel. So I was striving to use what I found to bring some of those very things to mind that you said so eloquently. So I went to the verb of parcel, and I have to divide into parts, to distribute, to make up into a parcel, to wrap, or to cover something with to cover with stripes of a canvas or tape. I looked at all of that in a fine night in Western State. And I mean, the most history of history classes I have ever seen. And I can make believe and fill in all types of in between. And then there's Prophet Noble Drew Ali and Divine Constitution and you and me. So then we get to this noun and like, all right, well, then I see something about a tract or a plot of land. And then I see something about a wrapped bundle. But your definition pulled it all together in the way of land, rights, and a body like me, a mind like me. And that is what, I got the spirit of using the Constitution, but I give honors to you for finding it and putting it out there. Gratitude for that. Islam.
So, gratitude for your measure, Deputy Counsel General Freeman. You are a tireless worker for your people, and it is greatly recognized and appreciated. Is anyone else who wants to come up with a definition of parcel?
Yeah, Islam already risen and give it praise to Allah and honor to our prophet. There's a couple of definitions, and parts of speech is definitely important when you're giving definitions to words, showing how we are using this word. Parcel as a verb means to divide, and that's one of the tricky side of the English language, by it being a bastard language and being made up of many different other languages. And the prophet took a bastard language and made it holy. He gave substance and meaning to it. And this is why a lot of Moors do get into etymology, because etymology takes you back to the mother or the origin of the word, and even taught us how to read a dictionary. I know in school we was taught, when we look up a word, we go straight to definition number one. But the define it from the etymology point of view, the first thing that you would go to is the brackets. The brackets is what give you the history of the word and the origin of it. So it give you a more clear picture and idea of how the word is being used and what you're using it for. Islam. So I just wanted to give that to our listeners and to our babies, because they're not taught to go to the brackets. They taught to go right to the commentative definition, which is somebody else's point of view. But the mother is the nucleus of the atom. The mother is the nucleus of the atom, and that starts with the origin of it. So, like I said, as a verb, to divide in a state. The other definition is what you gave, Deputy Counsel General, is a part or a portion of land. A part or portion as land, and there's several other meanings in dealing, but they have other words connected to it, like parcels and things in parcel bill, and all this is in your Black's Law Dictionary. Islam, gratitude.
Islam. Gratitude for that clarification, as well as teaching one how to look up a word to get a fuller understanding. Next word is responsibility. I will give my definition of responsibility: a moral obligation to behave correctly toward or in respect of. A moral obligation to behave correctly toward or in respect of. Islam. Any other Moors with their definition of responsibility?
Islam.
Islam.
Islam. Responsibility. Okay. Responsibility, the state of being held as the cause of something that needs to be fixed. Islam.
Islam. Gratitude for that measure, sir.
That's it.
Islam.
Yeah, Islam.
Islam.
Already risen once again. Responsibility. The quality or state of being responsible, such as a moral, legal, or mental accountability. B, reliable, trustworthiness. Two, something for which one is responsible. And then we have the quotation marks, Burden has neglected his responsibilities. And then we have some synonyms, examples, given. What is the definition of being responsible? Definition of being responsible. Responsibility. Being responsible means being dependable, keeping promises and honoring our commitments. It is accepting the consequences for what we say and do. It also means developing our potential. People who are responsible or demonstrate responsibility don't make excuses for their actions or blame others when things go wrong. Islam?
Islam. Islam. Gratitude for that measure. And also, if you listen carefully to the general giving his definition, he basically gave you the definition of the next word because the words are synonymous. Islam. Is there anybody else with the definition of responsibility?
Islam.
Islam.
Islam. Oh, my. I think I gave mine already.
Did you?
My hand is down.
Islam. We'll move on to the next word, accountability.
Islam.
Any more? Islam.
Islam. Accountability. Accountability means the traceability of actions performed on a system to a specific system entity.
Islam. Gratitude for that measure. Anyone else for accountability?
Islam? Well, already given a definition synonymous to responsibility. I want to give how to show accountability.
Islam.
One, know your role. You need to understand your responsibilities to be accountable for them. Number two, be honest. Set pride aside. Number three, say or apologize or if something has gone wrong, or recognize if something has gone wrong and you are responsible, then apologize. Four, use your time wisely. Five, don't overcommit yourself. Don't take on no more than what you can handle. And I think, although, it's a lot of work for us to do here in Moorish America, the harvest is plentiful, the labor is few. And I know that we want to do the right thing for the right reasons. And we know, like our Vice Consul General always say, sometimes we got to do some things simultaneously, but we definitely got to delegate and share the work, because you don't want to burn out, one or two or three people. And you don't want the will to become sluggish, because I had printed earlier, and I was talking about the law of correspondence and things of that nature. And then when we're teaching as teachers, people only come and you can, or they will stay as long as they think or sense that they are gaining something or receiving something. You can lose people if they don't feel like they're gaining anything or sensing anything that will work in their behalf. So being a teacher or instructor, you definitely got to be very creative in interacting with the student's mind, because the prophet said, if I can get you to think, you can save yourself. So getting the students more involved in the class is key. The last one, 6, is reflect. Reflection is the business of man. Reflection is the business of man. So everything, all the prophets teaches is all in these words. You know what I mean? So that's why we try to stay obedient and carry out the holy instructions of our holy prophet. Islam, gratitude.
Islam, gratitude for that measure. Gratitude for giving us a display, giving us the application of accountability. Any other Moors with definition? The next and final master word of study is work. Work. Islam.
Work. To engage in physical or mental activity in order to achieve a result. Do work.
Islam, gratitude for that measure.
Gratitude.
Gratitude for your enormous ability to research and understand where to go and how to make it plain once you discover what you've discovered. So gratitude for that. Any other definitions for the word work?
Islam. Oh, go ahead, Deputy Counsel.
Oh, Counsel General, after you. I just have a small contribution, if all. Islam.
Islam, gratitude. Activity in which one exerts strength and faculties to do or perform something. A, activity that a person engages in regularly to earn a livelihood, people looking for work. B, a specific task, duty, function, or assignment, often being a part, look at that word part, or phase of some larger activity. Islam.
Islam. Gratitude for that, General. Deputy Counsel General Freeman L.
Islam and gratitude. All right. Islam, for work, I agree with all my Moorish kin, and just going through all of the Western definitions, you come across everything from to perform work or fulfill duties regularly for wages or salary, to things that take us back to the workshop of the mind, talking about that activity and it beginning with a thought, as our senior counselor agent, our brother, Dr. Anwar Liel, put forth. And so the activity in which one exerts strength or faculties to do or perform something. And again, we're just talking action, so despite how it's connotatively used, when we get to, when we apply the mother of virtue and we get into the spirit of the word, we can just look at the etymology dictionary, or we can just go through the fullness of the definition given in many dictionaries and start from the very beginning in those brackets. But along the way, we know that this is an action. This is involving activity. This is involving movement. And a perfect word for this divine and national movement we find ourselves in. Islam and gratitude.
Islam, thank you and gratitude for that, sir. For work, I have action derived from or in completion of said duty or duty itself. Islam. Thank you all for your meanings and measures of the Master Words of Study. We have completed the Master Words of Study for this particular lesson, Islam. And now we have some readings that have to be done. You have already read the chapter of the week for the Circle 7. So let's go to the 101s and go to the keys, 96 through 100. You have your hand raised, Deputy Counsel?
Islam, sorry about the subhanAllah. I had that hand raised inadvertently. Gratitude.
Islam, gratitude, sir. So, key 96 from the Quran question for Moorish Americans. Is the devil made in the image and likeness of Allah? Answer, no. He is the shadow of our lower selves and will pass away. Key 97. Who made the devil? Answer, Elohim. 98. Who is Elohim? Elohim is the 7 creative spirits that created everything that ever was, is, and ever more to be. '99. What is Elohim sometimes called? The 7 eyes of Allah. Key 100. How many days are there in the circle? 7 days is the answer. Key 101. How many days are there in a creation? Answer, 7 days. So the importance of that 7 is a reference to the building of the temple of perfected man. We have fallen from the deific will of Allah, and we need to place ourselves back in and align ourselves back in that deific will. And the way that we're going to do that is through operating out of our higher selves and suppressing our lower selves, suppressing selfishness and wanting to do harm and things of that nature, and making sure that we're always trying to assist and uplift our fellow man and our fellow woman, and make sure that we're trying to make a better world for ourselves and our children thereafter. Islam. Those are the keys from the Quran questionnaire. Now,
Islam,
brother.
Islam. I just wanted to camel back on that, the mighty measure that you put forth on these keys. Because as usual, the prophet is always giving us something heavy. And you were taking us a bit into what seemingly is simple as the 7. That's coming from the lower self. Because truth is simple. But my lower self sometimes calls itself God. So I have to go through a process of refining and defining. And that's what we were just doing with the master words. And it just so happened that with these keys that were on manifest today, it tied right into the words of study. It tied right into the words of study in the way of our accountability and responsibility with our duty here. Chapter 1, know thyself. With, as you mentioned, getting beyond that lower self by using our divinity the way it was always planned to be. So we have the man, our brother, Allah's prophet, our prophet, Noble Drew Ali, as a demonstration, and we have all this holy breath, all this wisdom. But that wisdom is timeless. It's beyond the finite. You have to go within, as the chapter of the week demonstrated, in order to really find that heaven or that hell. So why do we do this? Why do we go through these words and stuff? Why did Noble Drew Ali put these keys out there? What did it all mean? Well, we'll continue to study that, and it's grand to get measures and demonstrations from our king so that we can learn from each other what it takes to be, we can learn from Moorish Americans what it takes to be a Moorish American. But using these keys practically, scholarly, and from the point of divinity, as you put forth, allow us to now get back to our purpose. We often talk about work, but as Council General said, when we coming from a place of wisdom, which happens to be our gross national product, we're not talking about that same type of work from the demonstration that we are very familiar with, being in a so-called stateless situation, being labeled and branded with all of these things outside of divinity and all the things that come with that as it applies to you and me, our children, our ancestors. So when we go through these keys and we're hearing about who made the devil, Elohim. Well, strange as it may seem, I heard that description about the truth too, from people like you and me. So we have to get beyond the things that seem strange, understand why it seems strange. We have to get beyond the things that sting a bit, a little uncomfortable. We know where we're coming from. We're trying to get out of that stagnation, that situation. All of these are universal because when you're not anything but yourself, there are things that come with the territory. And, a prophet would say, a prophet is sent to save nations from the wrath of Allah. So as a nation, we're looking at these familiar situations with a renewed self, a renewed call to duty, ready to be about that work, to do that work. We know about that work because all that thinking, all that trial and tribulation, that thought activity that we go through, when you get beyond the belief and exercising your faith, get on the other side of it all, the fruition part, again, we're dealing with the circle. That doesn't mean you stop. You have to keep rotating. You have to build upon that understanding. So that's that rock upon which man builds himself. So these things aren't strange and spooky, but as the Council General brought additional clarity to with the resources we use and why we say what we say and do what we do, these are continued affirmations as well as applications of right thinking. Because we can think this and say this and point to a few other examples soon. We're going to do that, but it's a clean and pure way that ends up making it so practical that we're ready to do that next word. We're ready for that next word. What's the next thing? We know that it's a call to do. That's why we're here. We know that there's something going wrong, not just something going on. We're past that Marvin Gaye song. We know something's going wrong. And we know that it is our duty, just like the rest of humanity, but our duty to act accordingly. And though that involves study, that involves using these keys, understanding, because I wasn't taught who made the devil. I didn't grow up in the church the way as many of my brothers and sisters, but I've had this feeling that that's a question you're not supposed to ask, whether it's a matter of faith or a protocol or dogma. So I just never asked it. So to hear these answers is one thing, but then it comes that work. And that's as close as a thought. We heard the definitions earlier. So we got to do that work, and it's better together. I wouldn't want to drop all that on you. That's not the example and demonstration of Professor Drew. So this is why, going through these keys and what they mean to me and you, how many days are there in a circle? I mean, how many days are in the circle? This is scientific. This is critical. 7. That's still me and you. How many days are in creation? We heard that. 7. But again, this applies to me and you. No different than that. Who made the devil? Elohim. That's them 7 eyes of Allah. So there's many things that we hear and in the traditions of others, with all respect. That's fine and dandy if it works from them. But maybe it's a matter of being clever, because my prophet told me that we're in this new era of time, are coming out of a period of slavery, slaveholders and slaves, brands by mere man. And that was seemingly divinity. That was seemingly a demonstration of God. You know that definition of white. I do too, but we're going to continue moving on. I also want to ask my brothers and sisters to on the panel to give their measure on these keys, because this stuff is this is why we practice, but we're here to share it with the community. So gratitude, Islam.
Islam, gratitude, brother. Let us let the council general jump in here, because I see itching, and as long as I can feel it coming off of him. So we need to let him go there and get this in there.
It's all gratitude. That's because my brother was he was over there, man, plumbing that line, and see, this is what it's all about. When that trumpet blow, that trumpet of truth blows, that you catch on, you link, you caught right up on that vibration, and what he said and the way he broke it down was so important. So our people can get a picture, because we know that the West and education, the religion of the West has messed our head up so much and had conditioned our minds to look outside of ourselves. When they talked about the devil and they talked about heaven and when they talked about hell, we continued to look outside of ourselves. We didn't know that these were states of consciousness. We didn't know that these things actually refers to the self. So, I want to, so this class is well structured and well put together along with the words of definition to show our accountability, our responsibility, that is through us, that Allah works through us. He never made a heaven or a hell for us. We make our own. So I want to go to key 196, who made the devil? And it said Elohim. And so from the outset, it must be said that the devil, in parentheses, the lower self, has no independent existence. First of all, have no independent existence, just like there's no such thing as evil. The evil is a violation of good. That's what we call evil, the results of the misuse of good. So when you violate principles, you create that form. It didn't come into being of its own, nor was it a creation of God. See, it is infinite, not permanent or absolute. Time was when it was not. It is contingent in that it comes into being with the creation of the physical body. Talking about this lower self. It comes into creation with the body. Therefore, where there is no physical flesh of man, there is no devil. There's no carnal nature. You see? The devil is earthbound. That's the carnal nature. It's earthbound and does not exist on the plane of soul or on the spirit plane. For sure, man has foes on the plane of soul, but not those that are contingent upon the flesh of man. Namely, Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast. These are different aspects of the lower self. Different aspects of the lower self. In chapter 1 of our most holy Quran, our prophet teaches us that the carnal nature, i.e., the devil, sprang forth from the flesh of man. Knowing this, the reader might ask, who then created the flesh of man? According to the chapter 1, creative fate, which is the creative force, see, the creative force or will of Allah that predetermines events and carries them out through the combined efforts of Elohim, gave to spirit, you and I, a soul, and then a body of flesh. In short, Elohim created the flesh of man and all things material. The physical body of man made up of billions of pieces of protoplasm, a clear jelly-like substance resembling the white part of an egg. The primary elements found in protoplasm are nitrogen, fire, hydrogen, water, carbon, earth, oxygen, air. By making the flesh of man through the mixing of these incongruent elements, Elohim also, and this is what you said, man was made from the earth. Of Elohim also made the devil, for it was the mixing of these incongruent elements which gave rise to the lower self, i.e., the devil. When explaining the dynamics on how the devil was made, this writing often uses the analogy water, sugar, yeast, and fruit are good things in and of themselves. But here to hit. But when mixed and left alone for a time, they become something else, an intoxicant. Thus was the devil made by the mixing of nitrogen, hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen, which comprise the physical body in the form of protoplasm. But not only is the body of man made of protoplasm, the bodies of all living organisms, including those of beasts and plants, are made of protoplasm. Knowing this, the reader might reasonably ask, if this be true, why then didn't the other creatures develop lower self or devil? The answer lies in the soul of man and man himself. There is no other creatures whose will is strong as man's. No other creature whose thinking is as advanced as man's. No other creature who possesses consciousness and the ability to reason and understand as man as does man. Taken together, these things make the mixture of incongruent elements and comprise the body of man, something more. In man alone, the mixture of these incongruent elements becomes the devil. So I want to give honor and praise. I'm gonna stop right there. I'll deal with the other ones as the class unfolds, but I would just stop right there on that one because understanding the proper noble duality, giving us chapter 1, the creation and fall of man. He explains how we were made and formed, how Allah breathed in us to inform us and made us. Where, for what reason? So we can understand our own nature. If we can understand our own nature and learn how to master our own mind, we can control our destiny. And this is why our theocratic government have to reflect our thoughts. Our thoughts are a reflection of our government. And we reflect back to it, which the nature of it is. That makes sense? So all these other man-made governments are not actually made to constitute the Moorish American. Basically, that's why it takes a Moorish American to teach one how to be a Moorish American. Islam, gratitude.
Islam. Gratitude for that measure, General, and that explanation and that understanding. We know that the body regenerates cells every 7 years. We know about the 7 days. We know about the 7 days of creation. Uranus has a 7-year cycle. So even in the astrology and above, that which is above is below. That which is below is above. It is not spookism. It is by design by the great God of law. He is giving you a path back to his deific will. He sent you a prophet for your salvation. These things are not by chance. It's not spookism. It's sitting right in front of you. You have to think for yourself. Islam, Freeman, you have your hand raised?
SubhanAllah, that was just from the last time. Gratitude.
Okay. Did you wanted to do your Exhuming of a Nation reading on page 560?
Islam, actually, that is a contribution from our brother, Dr. Anwar Ali L. And I mean, if he's available, I'm up for the lesson.
Not the senior counselor agent, not him. Brother, I should have known that research. Should have known. Islam.
Islam.
Prepared to present, sir?
Yes, absolutely. In general, this class is trying to let citizens and diplomats in the government let us know the reason why we're here. You know, what is our duties? And according to the United States Constitution, which 99.9% of our people think they attached to, wasn't even written into that Constitution, except for the 3/5 clause. Look, I wanted to go to page 560, and at the top it says National Mission Statement. That middle word gives it away. Gives it away already. It's a mission statement. This is what we are entitled to do, and why. I just want to go over here and listen to the preamble for the United States Constitution. It says, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterities, to do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." Most people in this country think that they don't even know they was written out of here. When that secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves, they were talking about all white men. The women weren't even included. They weren't even included. So I just want to read our mission statement, and it goes like this. It says, proclamation of status and jurisdiction of the Moorish Americans, with an S. In the course of human events, the following founding fathers of the United States brought forth on this continent two new nations. You can figure out which ones they were. The slaves and the Europeans. Goes on to say, one, themselves, a conglomerate of pale-skinned descendants from the nation of Europe. The other nation, a uh, dichotomy of olive-skinned nationals extracted from the various countries affixed indigenously to the north, west, and southwest shores of Africa, yet laden in slavery. Now, in the plan of universal justice, it has become necessary for the latter, standing in their proper person, to proclaim their free national status, thus dissolving the political bands and assumable jurisdictions of the former. And in essence, what they're saying, more is proclaim your nationality. Because right now, in the eyes of the law, or put it this way, the legal system, we slaves to corporate America. And that first word is stateless. You know, that identifies what's the Moors without a nationality. And some of them think it's not important. But it's at the top of your list. It should be nationality and divine creed. It goes on to say, we, the continental natives, descendants of Morocco, Moroccans from the old Moorish Empire, whose ancient forefathers received permission from the pharaohs of ancient Kemet, Egypt, to settle and inhabit Northwest Africa. In those days, Egypt was the capital city of the dominion and kingdoms of Africa, as Washington, D.C. is the capital of the sovereign United States today. The illustrious lineages of Moorish American ancestry reveals they were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with its dominion and habitations of kingdoms, nations, tribes, and families of Northwest and Southwest Africa, extending across the great Atlantic, even unto the present North, Central, and South Americas, and also Mexico and the Atlantic Islands, before the great earthquake, which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. We are born in the image and likeness of one omnipotent creator, Allah, the great God, and indigenous to the continental lands of the Americas, then subjected to the assumable jurisdiction of the various United States under slave labels abolished since 1864. And I'm gonna stop there. The other section talked about proclamation and status, but this in itself moves, even the people, the ones on Facebook, gratitude for listening in. It's vital. It's vital as us as human beings. Let's go there. Human beings to proclaim a nationality and divine creed. You know, and it's not a joke. You know, a lot of people I talk to, they think it's not important. And the reason they think it's not important because they haven't learned the history or how mandatory it is to have a nationality. And I'll go back to our words for study. Stateless. Stateless. You know, you think you have all the freedom to go here, go there, go here, go there. If you look deeper, that's not free. And me and a couple other ministers, we talk about it. I can't, as I sit here today, I can't tell you about freedom. And the reason is I've never been free. But with these lessons on my dial plate, I got a pretty good idea what it feels like. A pretty good idea. But we have to come together as a nation of people. You know, we We have our own flag, land, enzymes, and constitution. You know, you can't be a nation of people without a constitution. And I'm not talking radical or anything, and that about the Israelite brothers or the Zulu Nation. I think they got another one out there. You got to have a constitution. You know, you can claim being free all you want. You know, your name could be Shabazz, this and that. But if you haven't put it on your documents, if you ain't got no documents in your pocket to say I'm Shabazz so and so, you're just another Negro on the street, and they're going to treat you accordingly. So we're just here to give out this information more so our people will know. And I'm not talking bad about Christianity either. You know, the prophet said, give the church and Christianity back to the Europeans. Why would he say that? Because Christianity was put in place for their earthly salvation. We study Islam for our earthly and divine. So it's something missing. There's something missing on the outside. And they show it. They show it with all these wars and that lack for humanity. Let me put it. But with that said, more, that's their peace and love.
Peace and love. Well stated, Senior Council Agent Anwar Liel. I would like to show something in lines with, as you presented us with that United States preamble. One of the authors of that document, George Washington has something to do with that, I believe. This is how Mr. Washington felt about you. It was reported that George Washington summarized the debate. Summarized the raging debate on how to perpetuate slavery of the Moors, unlawfully tagged, quote unquote, so-called black people in 1774 in the First Continental Congress here in Philadelphia with this statement. If we would agree said if we would agree
I'm going to get it up on my side, Deputy Consul General.
if we would agree to take the feathers and turbans off the Moors' heads and remove the sandals from their feet and enforce severe punishments, and to also swear a death oath between ourselves to religiously and faithfully not to allow anyone to teach the Moorish children who they really were or who their forefathers were. Only allow Moorish children to be taught that they were truly Negroes, black people, colored folks. 200 years from today, the Moorish people would not know their nationality, nor their national name of their forefathers. Also, they would not know from which land or ancestors that they are descended from. This quote came from the minutes of the First Continental Congress, aka Oddfellow Convention. This is where they were putting together their provisional government for running their country. where representatives of the many of the European colonies here in America convened, met, and conspired in 1774, 2 years before the Declaration of Independence was declared into law, to strategically plan the perpetual enslavement of Asiatic people in America. I'm going to stop there. This is by design. It is by design to have you believe that you're Negro, Black, and color. That you don't have a divine name, a divine creed, nationality, your forefathers, where they're from. They often would teach you that we emanated from slavery. Basically, like we just appeared and we were slaves. Now, they don't even want to teach you that because I guess you went too far, starting to find out about yourself. So now they want to say, no, we're not going to teach race-based history. That's all you've been teaching. That's all you ever been teaching. But now we're not going to do it. And it is because too many people are getting closer to the truth, getting aware. They're asking things. Their consciousness is awakening. And that vibration has a ripple effect. You know, once you drop that pebble into the water, the ripple effect, vibrations are going to go out and emanate to the most farthest out of bounds of where you are. So we will not stay asleep. We're woke and we are coming to get what's ours. We're not asking you. We need to get what's ours because it's what we can't live as ourselves if we don't. We are Moorish Americans, and we need to teach our Moorish Americans how to be Moorish Americans. Islam. Did you want to start your video, sir?
Islam, I believe we have the Council General's hand up, and it'd be great to hear his demonstration. Islam.
Islam Council General.
Islam, I just want to add to, I think Minister Anwar was speaking about what he read, the preamble for the United States.
He read that first, yes. And
Okay,
then,
and then his point was after, okay, I could draw from that. You know, the preamble for the United States Constitution for the United States or of the United States is for the United States citizen. It goes into articles and even the amendments that was added was all designed for the making of a United States citizen, which is basically a European male. He was basically the only United States citizen, legit, anyway, lawfully. Anyway, everybody else, even his woman didn't become a citizen until later. However, my point is the preamble is a part of their constitution. It's a part of their constitution. So when it comes to us, the divine constitution of the Moorish is the world's second shortest of mass of the constitutional laws of any government on the earth to date, save the United States. Our divine constitution is the supreme natural laws. Listen to the nature of it, because we're talking about the Moorish Americans. The supreme natural laws empowering the Moorish American people as an independent and sovereign nation. There's no way that the Constitution of the United States can do that for us. The divine constitution of the Moorish American nation is also known as a divine covenant between the Father, God Allah, through his prophet and the clean and pure nation, thereby creating and holy allegiance between God and man. And there's no way that the Constitution of or for the United States could do that for. And I don't know why these Moors can't comprehend that. There's no way that which is the prophet says, a beautiful piece of law, written law, one of the beautiful piece of law, because it was patterned after, what we wrote, but the structure and everything, they draw it from it. But however, it cannot protect and defend us as Moorish Americans, because the nature of our government is theocratic. So the preamble, which I said is the shortest, of that divine constitution of Moorish America. The Moorish Americans, as a clean and pure nation, are the personification of their divine constitution. Their constitution, unlike charters of men, is a divine covenant from their holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. There's nothing religious about that. This is divine. It is the prophesied document which has been long awaited in the coming forth by day of a new nation, a people having been divinely brought with certainty into the I am gnosis of reattaching themselves to the human body or family of nations through the heritage of our national descent nature. It is the rightful and lawful proclaiming of his and her free national name through our Moorish descent and indigenous American status of live birth. We as a people hereby proclaim in one voice of freedom the birthright to our inherent nationality. It is the affirmation of autonomy and inalienable right of freedom, endowed by the great God that created all men and women. Hence, it is a declaration hallowed in due time, sounding the trumpet aloud to all nations of the earth that we are back. I added that, that's my part. The lion and the lamb upon the hedges and the highways, that the Moorish Americans, through love, true peace, freedom, and justice, have risen from the dust of Northwest America, and neither will be harmed in the horizon of their coming forth by day. And there's a lot more to add to that, but I'm gonna stop right there because I wanted to point that out, that this is why a Moorish American Muslim, you got to be a doctor of divinity, and you have to understand that you are a Moorish American. We was talking about this earlier, and I think in our children's class, we was talking about the animal kingdom or the family. There's a lot of different animals that belong to the animal kingdom. However, the lion does not think like another animal, a sheep.
Tiger.
Huh?
Lion not thinking like a tiger.
Like a tiger. Exactly. They both are the cat family, but they don't think alike or the same. They might have some similar traits. However, because they both belong to the human family, but they live according to that constitution. Now, we talked about Elohim, that's a whole nother level, but we talking about the human family here. And we're talking about a divine constitution, which constitute the very nature of that special people. And that's why history is so important. Our true history is so important in being given back to our people, and it have to be done repetitiously, because our people was hit so hard in the head that they're not just going to get it overnight, but we have to constantly be consistent in putting it out there in order to set the tone and be the message that we bring ourselves. Being a Moorish American, showing them what a Moorish American is, and living their life accordingly. Islam, I just wanted to add that little quick piece.
Islam Deputy Counsel General Freeman.
Oh, Islam. I was just saluting the general on that one. Gratitude. He's right and exact and right on time, just like all my other brothers and sisters that are online with us today on this panel. This is where we need to go in thought in order for us to become the fruition of all the stuff we have already been through. Can no longer act like that was normal. It never was. Can't research it now and make sense out of it other than the sense we have. Okay, that's another example of what not to do. Wow, that's another example of how much we go through. So it's long since not been news when we see the reality, the non-coincidental reality of another brother and sister taken off the manifest on the news, or being locked up, or all the other things that are associated with me and you. However, this is fallout. That's finite. There's so much that happened before that, and all accountability and responsibility. Who messed with that divine thought along the way? Who didn't remind that one about their divinity? Because naturally, we don't just come out that way. That way is the way that we often see displayed on the news. The ways of all these injustices, the ways we have been abused. And moreover, the things that we know to a different dynamic, that how we can do ourselves better. Starting with self first, going on out. I'm not going out and shooting my brothers and sisters, so that's not necessarily my thing. But with the help I do need, that's of the same thought, of the same reality, you got to meet me where I'm at. And so this is, again, a part of our responsibility because we know the truth. We know the truth about the essence of who we are speaking to and where we're coming from when we're just sharing that same essence with you. Now, see, that's a part of culture. That's a part of civilization. And that's a part of a very divine thought that I am more than honored to be a part of. But it takes a little more than me just proclaiming and online and just saying, and no. It's ultimately plumbing that line to better understand what that means to me and using it in a way that it actually improves my health. Now, it's an unhealthy thought to be going around thinking things that aren't true. Now, that's just keeping it simple. We can say that between me and you. So when we get into, as men and women, not boys and gals, according to Acts 6, and our holy prophet, not Negroes, colored folk, Black people, or Ethiopians. And we have a few more to add in there, Black, African American. I heard that they're, still deciding on that privilege of voting, for 14th American citizens. So who knows? The name may change again. We weren't invited to the meeting around the early 80s where it was decided accordingly. And my brother, I believe he's still out there, the doctor, Reverend Jesse Jackson, I believe he was part of that. NAACP, I know a few people that are a part of that, heads of it. So they weren't invited in that meeting either. So it hasn't been any type of organization, this, that, and the third that has got us out the situation. I don't even know if that was the objective. So when we hear different things, again, we have to know ourselves and we have to apply the tools that have been tried and true, demonstrated, and that we even use to all around humanity to always be able to discern that truth from falsehood, be able to apply it to self for our own salvation, but not as Negro, Black, and colored as a nation. Oh, an ancient nation. All you have to do is go on to the bottom of Act 6, and it'll tell you about our descendant nature. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Another thing that I get from that is we ain't a Johnny come lately. So this little, this remembering, this resurrection, this amnesia, it does naturally come about when the carnal nature takes over and man strays away from his noble nature, his natural nature, these things come about. They do. That's accountability and responsibility, me and you. Oh, we're strong enough for that, man. We've suffered so much, but I'm unwilling to perpetuate it. And so I have to study and stay steadfast. And that's, what's coming from all of these situations. So gratitude, Counsel General. And I see my brother, Deputy Counsel General, pray to El-Bey, right there. And I want to ask him to come forward. What have you to say, Grand Man?
Praise not is already given. I wanted to say that, as far as this country or corporation is concerned, only those males of European descent, so-called white males, are citizens. Everybody else is sponsored, even their women. They still have to ratify their women's right to vote, they have to ratify our right to vote, which again, if you were a citizen, would be an inalienable right. You would not have to vote upon it. It is just so. You've done nothing to violate your rights being given. You're not imprisoned unless they deem you as so. Citizen. So there's an injustice in that. Obviously, this was not built for us, as you heard from the father of their nation, father of their country. He didn't want you to know nothing about yourself. He wanted you to think that you're a perpetual slave. That even after your slavery, your children's children will all be born into slavery. That was the intent. So we've gotta we gotta wake up. And I call myself a resurrector. That's a title that I heard from a group called the Tribe Called Quest, and they made a statement about it. They said, they don't really mind if things go over your head, because the job of resurrectors is to wake up the dead. And for us, that is those who consider themselves Negro, Black, and colored. What did they say the scientific definition of Black is? Death. Who do you think that show The Walking Dead is truly about? And I'm not playing. I'm very serious. Who do you think they arming up for? So when you come invading in their territory, they get ready to blast you. They're showing you in every part of this country that they can hunt you and not be convicted. They just started to convict one of the folks, the Aubrey, the situation down in Georgia. By and large, man, and then the brother that was in Dallas, Texas, where the female officer thought she was in her apartment and shot and killed the brother. She was in his apartment. Well, I noticed that justice took place in that because he had a nation behind him. He was Nigerian. And the Nigerians, the Nigerian nation, their heads, talked with the United States and said, we heard about this tragedy. What are we going to do to rectify it? It is documented that they did it. It is documented that they did it. A nation defended its citizens. That's what nations do. You need your own nation. Islam.
Islam and gratitude. That's using that hammer of repetition and a few of the tools too. I don't think that scimitar is smoking over there. And it's what is necessary. So keeping with the same energy, I see that we have limited time, but we're going to come back and make more use of our time, building on this class. This is definitely going to be a part 2, part 3. All of our classes are connected because the truth is one.
Islam.
Islam.
Let senior counselor agent jump in very quickly.
Oh, Islam and gratitude.
Islam, I just want to say something brief. I just want to say something briefly in reference to nationality. That's what we've been talking about, and divine creed. It's like, if you notice, and I know y'all probably heard it or read it somewhere, when diplomats from another country come over here, that the Constitution of the United States does not apply to them at all. And they can pretty much do what they want. But they do everything diplomatically, not to embarrass their country. But sometimes if you run into a diplomat car, you better have some good insurance to get your car fixed. Because they ain't gonna do nothing. They're not gonna do nothing to it. And look, this is how important it is to have a nationality. Oprah Winfrey, with her billions, and I know some of y'all heard about it, with her billions, went over there to Europe. I think she might have went to France or somewhere in one of them high-class stores, went in there to shop, and they put her out. They said, you ain't got enough money to shop in here. They didn't know her. All they saw was the black skin. I'm telling you, Moorish nationality is the top of the list. Peace and love.
Islam. Deputy Counsel General Freeman, I'll put it in the chat. You're speaking of diplomatic immunity. And yes, but that is what nations do to afford diplomats, because I send my diplomats to your country, you send your diplomats to my country, and they are immune to the laws and constitution there. That's why they have an embassy where they actually say, okay, if you arrive at the embassy, United States citizen, then you are safe. All after that. So you must get yourself to that United States embassy in order to get back under the protection of the United States. Islam. Deputy Counsel General Freeman L.
Islamism and gratitude. You doctors are working today, and I'm always honored to be a part of it, because when we stir up the ethers and we take things to a higher tone, and we're now in that zone of the direction of right thinking, or knowing that we have to be in control of our own thoughts. We have to know the nature of our thoughts, our thinking, and it's up to us within all of that activity to use those tools to continue, being the truth. Being about that, plumbing that line, staying on that path, being a part of the process, being a part of circling that 7, being the circle 7. It's said in many different ways, and law is one, but Allah is one in many. And so it's at this point of understanding that, you have to still remain steadfast and humble, but now use this understanding so that we can get somewhere. And that's why we're talking about this, because it's a nation involves all of us. So this isn't the demonstration of, okay, well, I hear you now. What are you going to do for us? No. I'm speaking as a citizen first. So it's, what are we going to do for us? And we have this divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. We have a Moorish American government. We have flags, ensigns, seal, emblems. We have holy days, holy books. We have a lot and more in store for, as one unfolds. This is all truth that's been told and known. And yet We have to continue to not reap and sow in a scanty way. We have to go a little beyond even what we're used to, and all the reality that we've definitely brought into fruition with all of our understanding today and yesterday, because there's still more work to be done. We still have to have a plan to save our sons. There's still a lot of cleanup, let alone the buildup again simultaneously. But nature works that way. So I don't know about y'all. Every time like these seasons happen, winter, we know that, after the autumn, the leaves are going to fall, things go into different stages of hibernation and sleep. Now, I'm used to being a part of it and, trying to prepare and adjust accordingly. That's my part at this time in this story. You don't go outside with the wrong clothes on. I'm going to invite sickness. That's just supposed to be common sense. Find out the hard way if you want to. Well, it's the same thing with the bigger faculty of nature, which I'm a part of. I'm part and parcel of. The leaves changing, the decision of the squirrels to go up in the tree and hibernate, the way all of nature adjusts accordingly, like they got the memo. Now, see, again, we're talking on these earthly terms and contemporarily. However, the understanding that we're coming from, again, that's that wisdom demonstrated. We do this all the time when we are in the right place, when we create that right place in our minds and in our hearts. So what else are we supposed to do with this? Because it can't just be, okay, we talked it up. We sounded smart. I feel so like, well, back to slavery. No. So that's the understanding of the supreme laws, and want to give high honors to the Moorish American government, all officials and citizens, for being a part of that demonstration as one. And so, with the continuation of the lesson and moreover, the conversations attached, this is the unfolding of the understanding of where we truly are coming from. We are Act 6. So when, put your name in Act 6 if you need to of our divine constitution of Moorish America, and understand that this is a part of your story. Now, I know some people may rush the roots or may have to go through their roots, Kunta Kinte understanding. That happens to be my great uncle. And, see, everybody knows somebody and everybody got a story. So take it from me if it makes you feel any better. That's not your story. That's my cousin, that's my uncle. So you can't claim my stuff. We're not doing that competition stuff to prove anything. The truth is simple and plain. So we're going to let go of those ungainly things. And again, we go back to the Constitution. If I put myself in it, there's a whole bunch of interesting things there. Negro, colored folk, Black people, can't all be bad, right? Why can't I just be one of them? Or we got some new other things. Why can't I just do that? Well, we're talking about that. Moreover, before I could even get through all of Act 6, I started thinking about Hurricane Katrina. Those master words of study. Yup, my people again. Our people, our brothers and sisters, they were calling them refugees down there. And it wasn't just our people. There were other nationalities and other brothers and sisters of the human family too, caught up in something just very bad. And yet, and still, it was just another day of business for some. In that, there's more business to be done. It was politicized. It was this, it was that. But what we saw was devastation, and that devastation continued beyond mere words. You can check up on the situation now, but the reality is that at that late time, this is 2000s we're talking about. People are still being called refugees, and thought you could hear them crying, yelling, shouting, writing signs, staying, proclaiming who they were not. And it's important because only because of the travesty, or not so much we were caught up with what does that mean to you and me, but just, we're always caught up doing something with wrong, one thing or another. It's just always something to do, but it never comes full circle. You get a piece there, you did something, but it's like being on a hamster wheel. So we're going to, keep going through other resources that remind and better define the reality that we are moving from, and have more than an opportunity to walk into, but it's to really work our way through. The walk, the work, this is activity, accountability, responsibility. That's the inner disposition that you have to know comes with the territory. The territory is you, that spirit, the thought of you. That soul, oh yes, we need them tools, all that activity too. But that divinity on this manifest, even with this flesh, that is what's tried and true. None of this is by accident. And what makes sense to others can make sense to me and you, but we're talking nationality and divinity, and that's the paradigm that is up to us to continue to find within ourselves and do what we're supposed to with it. And we have some great examples on the manifest still, as well as the prophet Noble Drew working from the soul plane with all these powerful words or powerful understandings brought to us through a bastard language. The spirit come through just as true. And so one thing that I have on the screen here is an article from the New York Times. It was titled, "Call Them Refugees If It'll Get the Job Done." And this is May 14th, 2006. And this is talking about the New Orleans evacuees, as they would start calling them, at the Astrodome in Houston. And so that's just, again, to point out how politicized it was even after the initial time of the storm, per se. And it hasn't changed today. What happened to them? What happened to them in that picture right there? What happened? Because there's no guarantee, there's no system, there is no guaranteed protections for them, not today, no more than yesterday. And I'm sure that they're tired of hearing what anybody has to say of results at this point. And they've had to do a lot of working and surviving in the midst of all of the dying. But we have a lot of situations like that. None of that is who we are. We didn't just happen to be that way. As my brother brought up, Oprah can go to France and all her dollars, them not know about all that propaganda the same way we do. And they're like, I see a Negro. Who's going to tell her to get out? The face, the disposition, whether we say it in French or whatever, doesn't sound like she know about that mission that my brother was also reading about. Because surely she would have had the protection. She got back on social media complaining, upset. But, not too mad, just upset. What else can she do but tell the truth and be the truth? So then there's me and you. Everybody has their part. And we have our part, and the best is yet to come. So, continued gratitude and honors to all of you for being here. Honors to my brothers for doing what they do best, and that's being themselves and being about this holy breath. We want to go ahead. If I want to check with my brother, Deputy Counsel General El-Bey, and see if it's okay if we show one of the videos and then maybe open up the floor. I could see how everyone feels, but to open up the floor and get some measures with the question.
Gratitude, Islam.
All right, Islamism. Well, let's do that, Moorish Ken. We're going to go ahead and close this window, and we're going to watch the first video. I want to go ahead and preface it with the understanding that we do not own the rights to this video. This is a This is used for educational purposes. And so we are being about our Father's work, and that even as Noble Drew told us, to follow the law. We are glad to share this resource with you all. So let me make sure I shared this correctly. Please let me know if you can't hear it. I'm going to mute out and press play on this. First video is, who are stateless people? You may hear some things that sound familiar. As that, Allah speaks to man in a still small voice. So, get quiet, pay attention, and we look forward to talking with you when we come back on the other side of this video with the question on the floor. Islam.
Stateless people are people who do not have a nationality of any country. This prevents them from accessing fundamental rights and political, economic, cultural, and social rights that most people take for granted. Without nationality, they may not get an ID card, a passport, or any other proof of nationality. Doing day-to-day things can be a huge challenge for stateless people. Without nationality, they may not be able to travel to other countries, to see a doctor, to find a place to live, and even to get married. It may also be impossible to get an education, to work legally, to start a business, and to open a bank account. All of this prevents them from providing for themselves and their families and may force them into poverty and destitution. As they are unable to access certain rights, move freely, and work, many fall victim to abuses, exploitation, and human trafficking. The main cause of statelessness is discrimination based on race, religion, ethnicity, or gender. Many are stateless because they were stripped of or are denied a nationality because they belong to a certain group or population that is being discriminated. Statelessness is often passed down from generation to generation. Another cause of statelessness is when states disappear and new states and territories emerge. People in these new states may not get a nationality. Many stateless people have little to no support to change their situation. This makes them extremely vulnerable. Statelessness is not a small problem, but an invisible one. Today, there are believed to be millions of stateless people around the world. The only way they can escape this fate is if countries decide to grant them a nationality.
Islam. And gratitude for participating in that short video. Now, our prophet, all praise be to Allah, came with the answer for us, as prophets have done before, because again, we learn from our prophet how to get beyond the spookiness. This is an angel of revelation in this new era of time, the seventh angel of revelations. And so we don't have to deal with things the way even our ancestors had to or chose to. In all love, in all truth, for the sake of freedom, justice, and of course, peace. This is what we must do. So we have our constitution and bylaws. We have our tools to study, who we are. And we know that we are coming out of a situation. What are we moving into? That's why we're a part of this studying and working together to raise ourselves as nationals in the government, citizens first, and, reviewing what we're working with. So I want to now ask, I do want to open the floor. The question is, and of course, we're going to start with our Counsel General. I'm going to ask my brother, Deputy Counsel General Pretu El-Bey, if he can, continue to moderate as he's been doing so beautifully. But the question that we're going to be hearing more on is, how can we use our experiences in the United States government to better understand and demonstrate the meaning of a Moorish American citizen who is a part and a parcel of the Moorish American government. And I think that, you know, in the way that we study and the way that we've stirred up the ethers, the way that we'll end up concluding, you know, this particular class will be another demonstration that differs from the end of that video. You know, the end of the video talks about, you know, the only way for the stateless is for another nation to grant them, et cetera, et cetera. Well, you know, my brothers and sisters gave me a better understanding of how this was always here for me. They call it inalienable now in that contemporary language, but this is these divine rights of humanity. Just come with me being me. But it's up to me to do something about that. I'm the one that has to proclaim it. I have to proclaim my nationality in the government on which I live. And that's a part of circling that 7, circling my own 7 and being that circle 7. That is going to allow that providence from the great God Allah in the heaven that I can reach sometime in here to manifest. And there's still more work to be done, but it's going to fit and it's going to harmonize the right way, the same way it's flowing with our brothers and sisters, these gods and goddesses here, there, and everywhere. But we still have to solve the fix. So gratitude and yes, Deputy Consul General, pray to El-Bey. You know, if you wanted to moderate this question on the floor, that'd be excellent. You know, gratitude, Moorish King.
Islam. Deputy Consul General Suraya Ariel Musa, pray to El-Bey. Again, rising in the prayers to the Almighty God of Allah, His Holy Prophet Noble Ali, forerunner Marcus Messiah Garvey, the theocratic government, our theocratic government, the Maryland Consulate, all my Moorish kin, everything that is Moorish, young and yet born. Peace, love, and gratitude. Question on the floor again. How can we use our experiences in the United States government to better understand and demonstrate the meaning of a Moorish American citizen who is a part and a parcel of the Moorish American government? Council General, what say you?
Islam already risen and giving praise and honor. Giving honor where honor is due, giving honor to this beautiful class, and giving honor to all the instructors, the hosts of this class. Such a beautiful class. You know, yeah, that question for me, the way that I would answer that question, because every tongue must confess his own. And although I would like to answer the question for everybody, what it says, how can we, and I would like to answer that for everybody, but I only can answer for myself because everybody have free will. And I'm gonna put myself in the question. It says, how can I, Minister Malik, at this state where I'm at right now, how can I use my experiences in the United States government to better understand and demonstrate the meaning of a Moorish American citizen who is a part and parcel of the Moorish American government? And see, the way that question is formed, that leads me to the choice that I make. See, I always say to our Vice Consul General that everyone is where they are by right of consciousness. And I only can speak by right of consciousness where I am today. I could tell you where I used to be. And over 20 some years ago, I probably would have answered that question different because I thought I was a United States citizen. I thought I was Black, Negro, colored, African American, etc. But today, I know that I am not those things. I know those things are misnomers, and I know those things was titles given to slave by slaveholders, you know, during the time of slavery. And even to this day, people still proclaim those names. those labels. So where I am today, what I will do as a Moorish American is I have an obligation, a responsibility to teach my people the truth about their divine creed and nationality, which is Acts 6. And first and foremost, I have to study. I have to study myself. As being a Moorish American, study myself some more because there is plenty wisdom to be learned. What I mean, when the Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought us everything it takes to save us as a nation of people, he brought us something that would tear us up before we tear it up. So that means to me that I ought to be humble. And there's still a lot being revealed and unveiled to me, even at the state that I am in. You know, because we're talking about the everlasting gospel, and that's not a spooky thing. We're talking about a divine creed. We're talking about a history that's not bound by time. So in the process of being a Moorish American Muslim and being part and parcel of this theocratic government, that's more of a demonstration, more than it would be just an answer that I could just quickly I would just like put in a box basically, because I am only what I am. What I'm going to put it like this: I am what I think. I am what I think, and based on where I am, because I can truly say that my heart is fixed, and I have not gone back or decided to choose to be a slave again. I know that I'm a God. So knowing that I'm a God and there's a responsibility to that, I'm a Moorish American citizen of the theocratic government, I have an obligation to that government and to my people. And a large part of it is being my true self, being the message that I bring, leaving my footprints clearly cut that others who come behind me may see. And I'm talking about the young and yet not born. You see? So we thought that question, we are in a transitioning state because we are teaching our people the truth about their divine creed and nationality. And then also in the same process, we are manifesting the material aspect of this government on the earth, on the manifest. You see? So there's plenty work to be done. And the prophet have given me instructions, to be obedient to those instructions and about carrying out his works. He said it would be the third and the fourth generation that would see the good of his works. And I am one of those who see the good of his works. I am one of those who understand that I must live under my own divine and fig tree. See, some of us haven't come to that point yet. And they haven't come to that point based on the privileges that have been given to the United States. And that's what keeps you tied to them. And most people, based on who they are, is based on what they can get. I'm not one of those people. You can't give me a whole bunch of materialistic things and that can determine who I am. I'm stable. That's part of instability of man. One minute he willeth and the next minute he willeth not. One minute he's a Moorish American, the next minute he a black Negro colored getting into one of those lines that's giving out welfare. You see what I'm saying? What I mean, or turning my will over to one of those systems that's tied to the colorable systems that's tied to their government, or to keep me dependent. No, I don't think like that. I'm an independent, I'm interdependent because I need you just as well as you need me. However, we are an independent nation slash interdependent because we need one another. But what I'm saying is, when you break that chain of dependency, of being dependent on another man, then then it's your responsibility and obligation and accountability to fulfill the duties of what a man is. And I've learned through my experiences, the only way I can be a man is to be under my own government. Because to be under that man's government, he treats you just like everything else other than a man. Ask my brothers. They know. Most of them downtown. Ask the women and the brothers. They know. Most of them got marriage license. Ask them. Their whole status is under commercial practices or the municipalities of another government, controlling your unalienable rights. You know, so that's my of course I have a lot more to go to that, but for the sake of time, I'm gonna stop right there because these are questions that are designed to make you think. I love the way that question is put. You know, you just don't look at that type of question and answer it from a literal point of view. You got to look in it and put yourself in the question, just like you have to put yourself in all the other lessons that we have. So gratitude both to you, Council, Deputy Council General, and our Senior Council Agent, and the guards for being here. Goddess Nicole Williams El-Bey for her steadfastness and being studious and being a wonderful teacher in our Wednesday class and giving honor where honor is due. Gratitude. Islam.
Islam, General, thank you for that measure and that response to the question. Again, thank you for your tireless work being done on behalf of your people. The question on the floor again: how can we use our experiences in the United States government to better understand and demonstrate the meaning of a Moorish American citizen who's a part and a parcel of the Moorish American government? And one, you ready?
Islam.
Islam.
Haven't already risen. I'm gonna be brief. That short video says something in reference to stateless people are people with no rights. You know, unfortunately, over here in the USA, they have deceived us as a people, thinking we have rights. They have deceived us as a people, thinking that constitution that's in place, we have something to do with that. The only place you show up in that Constitution is, I think, Article 1, Section 3 of the 3/5 clause, meaning they consider you 3/5 of a human being. Look it up for yourself. It's still there. This is 2022. It's still there. And we think we have rights, but the reality of it is all they give us now is granted privileges. And the Counselor General talked about it. Look, he talked about marriage license. Let me tell you what list that marriage license goes on. That marriage license, it goes on the driver's license list, motorcycle license list, fishing license list, a license for your dog. All it falls under that. It's a license. Look the word up. Just like they gave you that license, they can revoke it. It's a privilege. Driving is a privilege. Some people think they got a right to drive. Actually, legally, you can't, according to this system, But by law, and we're talking divine law, you can. But you have to get into that. I've learned since I've been dealing with corporate America is that to keep our people silent, they'll give you all kinds of privileges. And I think Minister Terrell Freeman have talked about it. Privileges. They can take that away from you at any time. I've learned these lessons, and I've also, the prophet said, get a good European education, and we can use you. Reason for that is, once you look into how they set up their system, I'm telling you, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised how each and every one of us, even now, you know, I'm a citizen of the Moorish American government, but haven't totally detached from the corporate America. It's coming though. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna shut up. Let me tell you how it all began. And people on Facebook, look, it's real simple. Look up. Get a pen and pencil and look this up. The federal government owns you. And I know a lot of people get uptight about that. Don't nobody own me. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Until you proclaim your nationality and by greed, they own you. It's called the straw man. And I'm gonna be brief with this. Look, it goes like this. This seems like a little strange to you. If it does, then read this. They're talking about slavery. Slavery has never been abolished. And yourself considered to be a slave right now, as we speak. Yes, slavery is legal, although it is not lawful. When I'm talking about lawful, I'm talking about according to divine law. You know, it's strange that the Europeans came over here and got us jumping through hoops with their law, with their legal stuff. Look, it goes on to say, those who are in power have a big secret. Listen to this. This is what their secret is. Paying taxes is optional. Registering a vehicle is optional. Paying a fine is optional. Attending a court is optional. What that means is you can if you want to. You can if you want to. But with a nationality attached to you in the divine creed, I don't do jury duty no more. I don't do jury duty no more. And I had a tax situation. I'm saying something. I was with the city for like 17 years. I ain't never paid taxes. They tried to make me, but I settled that. I settled. It's not optional. I mean, it's optional. I'm gonna tell you where the straw man came from and say this real brief. Look, when your parents had you and you went to the hospital, they gave your parents a birth certificate. And they kept the birth record. Send it over there to Washington, D.C., to the Bureau of Commerce. And that birth record, they put it on the stock market to make money for the corporation. And you don't even know it. You don't even know it. And don't believe what I'm saying right now. Just look it up. The truth about your birth certificate. The straw man. Look it up. Peace and love, more.
Peace and love. Gratitude for that measure, Dr. Anwar Aliel. Gratitude for all the information that you gave. Is there anyone else who would like to answer the question that is on the floor? Anyone else?
Islam, I have a brief measure.
Oh,
Islam and gratitude. I'm Terrell Freeman L. Praise and honors reiterated. I concur with my Moorish kin and all the grand measures put forth and that will come forth as we continue to unfold and answer the question and continue studying ourselves to deal with the reality. Deductive reasoning, I have a whole lot of stories and experiences, some scars about what not to do and why. Oh, tried and true. I went through it. I believed this. No, I had faith in it. Brought it to fruition. Woo! Praise the Lord, because I survived. I'm here to talk with you. This is what I learned about it. This is what not to do. This is what works, tried and true. And I've come from this because there's 1,001 ways to hopefully not get yourself into things that I've been through. But then I had to learn that it wasn't accidental. You know, there are things that are, it's just like we are getting back under the holy instruction. We are getting it back in alignment in self and applying it nationally the way it used to be, but hasn't been for me. So there are things that come with that territory. You know, I generally don't go into my story because we got stories to go. Oh my goodness. But the wisdom and the application of that wisdom, one would think we don't have that unless you know yourself and hopefully have the opportunity to be with some brothers and sisters that, like you, are here still for a reason. Always was for a reason. So with my experiences, you know, generally speaking, the experiences that from the old situation is that it's just filled with a lot of falsehood. You know, if I thought I was just experiencing that, my own approach, because, you know, it must be me. Maybe it's because I do or don't have a degree, or maybe it's because I do or don't have enough money. I don't know what it is. I'm still working on it. No. It's not that vague. You can look plenty of things up. There's plenty of great information and resources out here. But I remember once upon a time, they'd even tell you about the greats that said and survived and endured and did more than try. We don't even carry up that narrative in the old situation anymore. So that's fine. Now I see, you know, through a Professor Drew approved lesson, I have to apply it to myself and you have to apply it to you. You know, with the love out front for the sake of getting your house in order, improving your health, improving your condition. Who I am in relation to all law, to Allah, great God of the universe. Me, I. And not even the me and the I, that's some perspective, cardinal stuff, and wow. And this is how you get to it. This is how we are. This is how we cycle ages and events. Now, see, that right there allows me to be a doctor of divinity and to go into all these different topics that we may have to, just to teach a lesson or to remind ourselves why today is a blessing. Every day is. So I know about plenty of experiences where I've lost track of the value of everything that our ancestors are responsible and accountable for bringing to the very concept of civilization, even in this late day. I can see it, I can study it. Everybody has their own way of saying it. And some of them will invite me to participate in a play and do something about it, representing it, but it's still up to me to solve the fix. Now, I don't need to hear from anybody outside of me because we operate as one in our government. We may not be in the same place physically and even in the degrees of our unfolding, but a rose is still a rose. And that's different than the United States demonstration. rich, it seems like, but this is what it really is. You're poor, it seems like, but this is who you really are. Things don't line up. It's not straightforward. Everything just seems to be seemingly, and I could get in trouble if I talk about that too radically. So I'm going to keep the prophet out front, Allah and the prophet out front, and understand that it's bigger than my little wants and my gripes and my little pains and what all that. Because there is something we've always been here to do, just like the roses, just like the animals. We have in a special place in this manifest. I have in a special place in this manifest, but it comes with responsibility. You better bring a whole heaping endless, manifest of humility too, because we're still learning stuff. But that was a part of the glory in the old story. I'm like, why are we here? Like, what's up with you? What have you been through? What you gonna do next? It wasn't really with an expectation of things just working out. It's just like when you see someone, you hear something, and with the ideas of old, the ideas of self outside of ourselves, the ideas that have been attached to us and have maybe been taught to attach ourselves to. It's never been you. It's never been a good fit. That's why it felt that way and didn't work the way seemingly you thought it worked for some. No, it's a whole bunch of conditional stuff. We can get into it, but let's work on us. Let's work on us with us, and then we find we got strength enough. We always had it. We find that the resources that can be used, the things to be leveraged, the gold that's beyond that rocky, dirty, muddy. Oh man, that's where the beauty is really at. And it might just be with, again, that rose, which starts off in the seed. As a seed, the thought of the great God of love, but in the manifest a seed. That may be the best place to plant that rose. Now, the rose is strong. It can go through some concrete, go through some rubble, but that's not tried and true. That's not what we were wanted to do. And you and I are lords of this plane of this manifest. So we're just doing what's natural. And now I see different than and all my decades of experiences in the United States government, that it's okay to be me. It's more than okay. It's my duty. Matter of fact, I'm honored if it were only a privilege, but I don't get out. It's not that simple. It's not a privilege. It's a duty. It's a privilege when somebody may choose to trust you. However, the duty is that holy covenant. That covenant leads to constitution. All of it, that's the laws and stuff. The way it functions slowed down. But keeping the spirit of it in its purity and keeping the love out there, bringing it back around. That's why it's manifested. If it's there, then why do we have to? Because we're here. And our goal is to complete this circle, not stay stuck in any which way you see it. Any which way we find ourselves. That's unnatural. So gratitude for all of you and all your measures. Gratitude for allowing me to share. And Deputy Counsel General, I'm going to pass the mic back to you over there. Islam.
Islamism. Gratitude, Deputy Counsel General Freeman L. for that measure. At the time, we have a brief amount of time remaining. Counsel General, is there anything you'd like to say before we close out?
No, I just wanted to add to, for the sake of time, the beautiful class, first and foremost, well structured and well planned, put out. I just wanted to, because just like the Deputy Counsel General said, this will be another part of this class will manifest in our next class. But I'm just going to end by saying this. Why Moorish America teaches to the nations of Moorish Americans? That's the question I want our people to think. And the answer is why. Question is why. Because this is how the prophet first began to uplift the Moorish Americans by teaching them to be themselves. And I want us to think about that question and answer real seriously. Because when you ask our people, who are they? From person to person, you're going to hear many different things. And this question is very essential and major to what direction that individual go. And that question that y'all put on the floor, because some of us going to choose, we all by right, we are where we are by right of consciousness. So based on where we are on consciousness and what we know about ourselves will determine how we answer that question. You know what I'm saying? Because some of us are all right with being slaves. Some of us are all right getting a marriage license. Some of us are all right with getting a driver's license. And some of us is all right being suppressed, our unalienable rights being suppressed by another man. And being given mind pacifiers and such and such. That ain't my nature. I already know, probably, from previous lifetimes, I already know, that I was giving them hell. And I am that one today, that I just don't say yes to everything just because it feel good, smell good, taste good. Your senses can lie to you. Most of all the bad things is good for you, taste sweet. But anything, I want to give praises to Allah, honor to our holy prophet. I'm gonna just stop right there. But put that question on your mind. How did the prophet begin to why? Because the prophet, how did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish Americans and why? Islam, gratitude.
Gratitude for that measure and that question to be placed in the ethers, General. We appreciate it. This concludes our class for the day. I thank everyone for their participation and their attendance in the class. Again, you could have done anything that you wanted and you were here. Gratitude for that. Gratitude for the teachings of Deputy Counsel General, first, Senior Counsel Agent Anwar Aliel, Deputy Counsel General Terrell Freemanell, myself, and of course, the injections of our Counsel General, right on time, Counsel General Malik El-Bey. Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation, ye the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother have given ye suck. The bonds of affection, therefore, unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity. And prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brothers in adversity, assist him. If thy sisters in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam. Grand class.
Grand class. Grand class.
Ism. Grand
Grand
class.
class.
Long live Moorish America. Long live Moorish
Good to have
America.
you here. Long live Moorish America, as my brother said. Islam. We look forward to seeing y'all next time.
Islam.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.